Hello everyone, I will tell you about top 8 of the best conspiracy theories. From a faked moon landing to wild ideas about JFK's assassination, conspiracy theories and believers abound. Conspiracy. Just saying the word in conversation can make people politely edge away, looking for someone who won't corner them with wild theories about how Elvis, John F. Kennedy, and Bigfoot are cryogenically frozen in an underground bunker. Yet conspiracies do exist. In the corporate world, major companies we buy products from every day have been found guilty of conspiring to fix prices and reduce competition. Just about any planned criminal act committed by more than one person could be considered a conspiracy, from simple murder for hire to the Watergate break-in. Many conspiracy theorists go much further, though, and they see a hidden hand behind the world's major events. The top conspiracy theories are often very difficult to dislodge. Some may contain grains of truth or feed an emotional need for believers. And hardcore believers are adept at rationalizing away evidence that contradicts their beliefs. Eyewitnesses who dispute the conclusions of even the biggest conspiracy theories are mistaken, or part of the conspiracy. Number 1. The 9/11 conspiracies. The evidence is overwhelming that the terrorist attacks of Sept. 11, 2001 were indeed the result of a conspiracy of Osama bin Laden and a crew of mostly Saudi hijackers. This is too simple for some, though. Conspiracy theorists have a variety of much more complex explanations for what happened at the World Trade Center and Pentagon that day, often involving insider knowledge by President George Bush, Vice President Dick Cheney, and top Bush advisors. Some famous conspiracy theories rely on anti-Semitic tropes, such as the attacks being orchestrated by Israel. Many claim that because jet fuel can't melt steel beams, the Twin Towers must have been brought down by controlled demolition from bombs planted before the planes hit. A 2006 Nova documentary debunked these claims. It is, in fact, quite possible for the columns holding up skyscrapers to fail catastrophically when exposed to fires burning on multiple floors. Other claims are refuted by simple logic. If a hijacked airplane did not crash into the Pentagon, as is often claimed, then where is Flight 77 and its passengers? Are they with the Roswell aliens at Hangar 18? In many conspiracy theories, bureaucratic incompetence is often mistaken for conspiracy. Our government is so efficient, knowledgeable, and capable, so the reasoning goes, that it could not possibly have botched the job so badly in detecting the plot ahead of time or responding to the attacks. Number 2. Princess Diana's murder. Within hours of Princess Diana's death on Aug. 31, 1997, in a Paris highway tunnel, conspiracy theories swirled. As was the case with the death of John F. Kennedy, the idea that such a beloved and high-profile figure could be killed so suddenly was a shock. This was especially true of Princess Diana. Royalty die of old age, political intrigue, or eating too much rich food. They don't get killed by a common drunk driver. Unlike many conspiracy theories, though, this one had a billionaire promoting it. Mohammed Al Fayed, the father of Dodi Al Fayed, who was killed along with Diana. Al Fayed claims that the accident was in fact an assassination by British intelligence agencies, at the request of the royal family. Al Fayed's claims were examined and dismissed as baseless by a 2006 inquiry. The following year, at Diana's inquest, the coroner stated that the conspiracy theory advanced by Mohammed Al Fayed has been minutely examined and shown to be without any substance. On April 7, 2008, the coroner's jury concluded that Diana and Al Fayed were unlawfully killed due to negligence by their drunken chauffeur and pursuing paparazzi. Number 3. Subliminal advertising. Ever been watching a movie and suddenly get the munchies? Or sitting on your sofa watching TV and suddenly get the irresistible urge to buy a new car? If so, you may be the victim of a subliminal advertising conspiracy. Proponents of this conspiracy theory include Wilson Bryan Key and Vance Packard, both of whom claim that subliminal messages in advertising were rampant and damaging. Though the books caused a public outcry and led to FCC hearings, much of both books have since been discredited, and several key studies of the effects of subliminal advertising were revealed to have been faked. In the 1980s, concern over subliminal messages spread to bands such as Styx and Judas Priest, with the latter band even being sued in 1990 for allegedly causing a teen's suicide with subliminal messages. Subliminal mental processing does exist, and can be tested. But just because a person perceives something subconsciously means very little by itself. There is no inherent benefit of subliminal advertising over regular advertising, any more than there would be in seeing a flash of a commercial instead of the full 20 seconds. Getting a person to see something for a split second is easy. Filmmakers do it all the time. Getting a person to buy or do something based on that split second is another matter entirely. Number 4. Moon landing hoax. NASA landed astronauts on the moon in 1969. By the 1970s, a bizarre conspiracy emerged that the moon landing never happened. The conspiracy was described in a 1976 self-published book, We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 billion Swindle, and a 1978 movie, Capricorn 1. Even as late as 2001, there was a Fox documentary, Conspiracy Theory, Did We Land on the Moon? That gave airtime to the claims that the whole Apollo moon landing program was faked. There are plenty of debunkings of the various moon hoax claims, and then there's the issue of the hundreds of pounds of moon rocks that have been studied around the world and verified as being of extraterrestrial origin. How did NASA get the rocks if not during a moon landing? Why would scientists from around the globe willingly participate in the American Space Agency's hoax? Many astronauts have been offended by the implication that they faked their accomplishments. In 2002, when conspiracy theorist Bart Sibrel confronted Buzz Aldrin and called him a coward and a liar for faking the moon landings, the then 72-year-old punched Sibrel in the jaw. Number 5. Paul McCartney's death. Paul McCartney is not dead. Until mid-2019, he was still touring, in fact, and he probably still would be if the coronavirus pandemic hadn't canceled his gigs. He gives interviews, he has a website, he occasionally appears in the tabloids. Pretty good for a guy that some conspiracy theorists think died in 1966. The Paul is dead conspiracy goes something like this. On Nov. 9, 1966, Paul McCartney got into an argument with the other Beatles, stormed out of the studio and was promptly decapitated in a car accident. To cover the whole thing up, the band hired a look-alike. After going through all this trouble, though, the band then took great pains to drop clues in their album covers and lyrics to hint to the public that something was amiss. For example, on the cover of the Abbey Road album, all 4 Beatles are photographed striding across a zebra crossing, but only McCartney is barefoot and out of step with the other 3. This must mean something, right? Despite public denials by the band, fans couldn't just let it be, and came together to look for more clues. Number 6. John F. Kennedy's assassination. John F. Kennedy was shot in 1963 in a Dallas motorcade. But did Lee Harvey Oswald act alone? Or was there a second gunman on the grassy knoll? These questions are the gateway to a vast arena of conspiracy theories that have spawned endless speculation and hundreds of books, articles, and films. It didn't help that Lee Harvey Oswald was murdered in the basement of Dallas Police Headquarters while surrounded by police officers only 2 days after the assassination, and by a guy with ties to the mob. The whole thing stunk, people figured. Plenty of shadowy culprits have been suggested as the masterminds of the Kennedy assassination. Fidel Castro's government, or maybe anti-Castro activists, or organized crime, or the CIA, or Vice President Lyndon Johnson, or, well, the thing about presidents is, it turns out, they have a lot of enemies. The Warren Commission report, produced by the official investigation into Kennedy's death, found no evidence of overarching conspiracies, though plenty of theories still flourish. Number 7. Roswell crash and cover-up. There is one fact that almost all skeptics and believers agree on. Something crashed on a remote ranch outside of Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. The government at first claimed it was some sort of saucer, then retracted the statement and claimed it was really a weather balloon. Yet the best evidence suggests that it was neither a flying saucer nor a weather balloon, but instead a high-altitude, top-secret military balloon dubbed Project Mogul. As it turns out, descriptions of the wreckage first reported by the original eyewitnesses very closely match photos of the Project Mogul balloons, down to the silvery finish and strange symbols on its side. The stories about crashed alien bodies did not surface until decades later, and in fact no one considered the Roswell crash as anything extraterrestrial or unusual until 30 years later, when a book on the topic was published. There was indeed a cover-up, but it did not hide a crash saucer. Instead, it hid a Cold War era spying program. Number 8. Protocols of the Elders of Zion. The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion is a hoaxed anti-Semitic book that purported to reveal a Jewish conspiracy to achieve world domination. It first appeared in Russia in 1905 and described how Christians' morality, finances, and health would be targeted by a small group of powerful Jews. The anti-Semitic idea that there is a Jewish conspiracy is nothing new, of course, and has been repeated by many prominent people including Henry Ford and Mel Gibson. In 1920, Henry Ford paid to have 500,000 copies of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion published, and in the 1930s, the book was used by the Nazis as justification for its genocide against Jews. Though the book has been completely discredited as a hoax and forgery, it is still in print and remains widely circulated around the world. Thanks for watching.